If you're going to run a government while fighting against the world's strongest country at that time, you might want to have some rules set aside saying this is how we're actually going to run our government. You might want to have a basic framework for how to fairly operate. And that was the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation during the Revolutionary War and a little while afterwards was America's very first constitution, our first rule book for the government. And it was adopted November 15th, 1777. The Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, that's the full name, was the first written constitution of the United States. Written in 1777 and stemming from wartime urgency, they just really needed something. Its progress was slowed by fears of a central authority and extensive land claims by the states. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania was the original author, and it was not ratified until March 1st, 1781, which means that it was created much earlier than that, but it was not ratified until, not accepted by the states until 1781. Um, the states were very iffy on whether or not they were going to agree to any kind of true bonding. The reason why we were called a United States is because the word state means country. So we were united countries. We in America have kind of twisted that into being our own little, like a state is more like a province or a large locale inside of a country. But originally, the word state meant country. And so they were saying, we United States, we united countries. Uh, the That attitude meant that they did not want to cede or give up any authority to a central government, especially since they were fighting to get rid of a central government. Under these articles, the states remained sovereign and independent, while Congress would serve as a last resort on appeals of disputes. So the only time Congress would really have any real power is to settle an argument between two of the states. Significantly, the Articles of Confederation named the new nation. We officially got our real name with the Articles of Confederation, the United States of America. This is very important. The weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation was that Congress was not strong enough to enforce laws or levy taxes. The Articles of Confederation did not give the government enough power to actually do anything. They had to beg. And this made it very difficult for the new nation to repay their debts that they accrued from the Revolutionary War. There was no executive, so there was no president. There was no judicial branch, so there was no court system. Two of the three branches of government that we have today act as a system. Like, two of our three branches of government didn't exist at all. They literally only had Congress, and that was the only part of the government. And it only had power whenever the states were arguing. The Articles gave Congress considerable powers, however. It was given jurisdiction over foreign relations, with the authority to make treaties and alliances. Congress could make war and peace. It could maintain an army and navy. It could coin money. It could establish a postal service and manage Indian affairs. It could establish admiralty courts, and it would serve as a last resort of appeals on disputes between the states. Now, this actually gets them in trouble. Coin money. They could coin money. It means they could print money. They could make as much money as they wanted. But money has to be based on something. Now, back then, it was commonly based on gold, but Congress didn't have any gold. Like, they would literally write on documents, on paper money, they'll say, this piece of paper money is worth this much gold, and this gold is in this bank. Today, our money is more based on the collective amount of work that we do, of value that we create. Back then, it was based on actual money, but Congress didn't have any gold. So when they coined money to be able to spend stuff, they would just make it out of thin air, which meant that it had no real value. And people knew what they were doing. So people wouldn't even use American money. They would use Virginia money or New York money or Georgia money because American money was worthless. because they weren't able to actually tax people who actually had value or effort or gold to give the money actual backing, to give the money actual value. So I hope this is helpful and I hope you're learning.